Why do we procrastinate? Everyone procrastinates, but why do we procrastinate? Since the beginning of time, people have been procrastinating, and we seem to have a hard time figuring out what makes us avoid the things we know we should be doing. The psychology of procrastination can help us figure this out. Procrastination slows down your goals and dreams. It can create stress and feelings of frustration and make time management useless. This often manifests itself as work with projects and daily tasks. Fortunately, it's possible to learn how to overcome procrastination once we know why people procrastinate. Research has gone a long way in helping us understand the psychology of procrastination and why we continually engage in this annoying behavior. We'll take a look at the main reasons why we procrastinate, but first, let's talk a little about our emotions and active and passive procrastination. The key to understanding why people procrastinate. Thanks to our limbic system, the neurological powerhouse that controls our emotions and memories, we tend to feel before we think. To avoid having negative feelings, we stay away from tasks that may overwhelm us or make us uncomfortable. The easiest way to overcome procrastination is to regulate these emotions. When obligations are terrible, they drag our feet to fulfill them. Most people confuse work with emotional distress because the task at hand may seem complicated or difficult, which can cause anxiety or despair. The more complicated or demanding the job, the more challenge-averse we become. All of these negative feelings and reservations add up, causing people to avoid tasks altogether to avoid experiencing pain or negativity. Research studies have linked chronic procrastinators with DHD, passive-aggressive tendencies, revenge, and obsessive-compulsive disorders. Active versus passive procrastination. Passive procrastination is the type of procrastination we all think about. Most people don't realize that active procrastination exists. Let's talk about this first. Active procrastinators are kind of the positive type of procrastinator. They deliberately decide to procrastinate because they know they work better under pressure. For example, an active procrastinator might see that he has 5 papers to write before Friday. Instead of doing one every day, they decide to do one on Monday, another on Wednesday, and save 3 for Thursday because their brains work best when there's an element of pressure. Passive procrastinators, on the other hand, are the negative procrastinators we usually think of. These type of procrastinators fall into the traps of indecision or lack of confidence that make them wait until the last minute to get something done. For example, a passive procrastinator may be presented with the same 5 reports, but instead of waiting to build positive feelings of pressure, he puts off writing all 5 reports until Thursday night because he simply doesn't feel like it. Certain of your abilities, get them right or the prospect of writing them down makes them sink in with boredom. As you can see, the psychology of procrastination is complex, but there's some fundamental answers to the question, why do we procrastinate? Later in the video, we'll focus on passive procrastination. Wanting to control everything. If you procrastinate, they can't be wrong, right? Unfortunately, you can't put things off forever. By procrastinating, you have more control over what task you are working on, but this means more that particular task doesn't get done. Get the push you need to go on with your free action plan to stop feeling overwhelmed, get motivated, and get life together. While you may initially feel more empowered for procrastination, this often dissolves into a sense of lack of control as time constraints begin limiting your ability to make good decisions. How to fix. If you feel like you need to check everything out, it's time to take a step back and examine what makes you seek control. If this is a problem for you, try to learn to trust yourself and others. Meditation can be a great tool when it comes to releasing control and building focus if you want to work to overcome procrastination. Start with just 5 minutes in the morning and work your way up. You can also check out this article for more tips, how to learn to let go of what you can't control. Seeing a task as one big project. Imagine if your boss gives you the task of creating a 2-hour presentation for a new client. If you see it as a big task, you will feel overwhelmed, which will likely lead you to avoid the task altogether. To fix this, break the project down into many small tasks. For the example above, you may break this large project down into research, deciding on the number of slides, making half the slides, making the other half, adding graphics, and then proofreading. This is only one example, and it can apply to a number of situations. But by breaking some things down into parts, you'll find the task much more doable. This will also produce less stress and less aversion to the work. Being a perfectionist. Sometimes, being a perfectionist works in your favor. However, it can be tempting to procrastinate or delay completing tasks simply because you fear the outcome won't be perfect. A 2017 study confirmed that people with perfectionist tendencies were more likely to procrastinate. This TED Talk with Charlie Haversott explains why perfectionism can do more harm than good. How to fix. Changing the negative feelings that arise when you feel like something isn't perfect requires a simple change of perspective. If you continuously strive for perfection, you will constantly be disappointed. Understanding that everyone makes mistakes and no one can realistically expect perfection from you. Do the best you can. Try to view the completion of your task in a positive way. For example, if you have a presentation that your boss wants you to give to a potential client, visualize yourself standing confidently in the meeting room, making eye contact, and watching them light up as you explain the concept simply and succinctly. Imagine the boss telling you how great the presentation was. Think about how you would feel and focus on that as you do the task. Perfection does not exist, so do your best and realize it's all you can do. This will help you stop asking yourself, why do I procrastinate? A complete, even imperfect business is better than an incomplete business. Worrying about failure. Procrastination is sometimes a subconscious fear of failure. If you put off an activity long enough, you don't have to deal with possible and usually imagined negative outcomes. If you're fussy about minor details, the stress of getting things right can be too much and delay you from getting the job done. It can be tempting to put off activities for fear of failure. Of course, you can't fail at something when you don't fail at all. How to fix. Facing your fear of failure will help you overcome that fear in the long run, or at least learn how to manage it. The next time you think about putting off something simply to avoid potential failure, take it head on. Once you do, even if the result isn't ideal, you'll feel more confident in your ability to complete the tasks. Take this one day at a time. On the other hand, aticophobia is an extreme fear of failure. This can be caused by a family history, traumatic experiences, or learned behaviors. Talk to a professional if your fear of failure is triggering panic attacks or you're having trouble functioning in daily life. If you're interested more in learning about fear of failure, you may enjoy this video. Lacking self-control. There are different levels of self-control and everyone is different. However, there is a point where your self-control can get in the way of productivity. Procrastination is easier for people who naturally lack the discipline to complete tasks in a timely and organized manner. What to try? One study found that people were more likely to overcome self-control issues and complete their big tasks if deadlines were set. So the next time you have a big project to do, break it down into smaller tasks and assign a date to each one. This should help you stay focused and get more done. Procrastination in kids and teens. Children may procrastinate for the same reason adults do. They may be afraid of making mistakes, and they may want to forget an unpleasant task only to react later. It's important to note that children who procrastinate may not be sure what is expected of them. For example, a child who turns in homework late may not be clear about the instructions. If you notice your child procrastinating, make sure you are patient and clear in your expectations. On the other hand, children who chronically procrastinate may be procrastinating because they got away with it in the past. It is important that parents and other caregivers comply with requests to help children develop healthy habits. Procrastination in students. While procrastination affects about a quarter of the general population, it affects half of all students. A 1997 student health study found that students who procrastinated reported less stress and fewer illnesses than peers at the start of the semester. As long as the deadline remained remote, students who procrastinated were better off. But later in the semester, students who procrastinated experienced more stress and illness. They were sicker than their peers in general. Students who procrastinated also received lower grades in all activities. According to the study, delaying an activity doesn't just delay the unpleasantness associated with it. Although procrastinators experience less stress at first, they've become more stressed as the deadline approaches and have accumulated more stress overall. The 2014 Student Mental Health and Coping Study found that students who procrastinated starting and ending daily activities were less likely to express their needs. The students in the study also experienced more stress. Where to seek professional help for procrastination. The studies outlined above can be helpful in combating procrastination, but if the procrastination continues to interfere with your relationships, work, or well-being, you may need to seek professional help. A licensed mental health provider can help you gain insight into the behaviors that drive procrastination. Therapy can help reframe negative thoughts, find meaning in your activities, and embrace positivity. You can also learn time management skills, find ways to limit distractions, and develop productive habits. Cognitive behavior therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy can be especially helpful for procrastination. CBT explores the connections between thoughts and feelings. By changing the thoughts you have about an activity, you can change your attitude towards it. Consider how CBT can be applied to perfectionism and self-doubt. A therapist can help you become more aware of the irrational beliefs that keep you from completing tasks. For example, they can help you explore why you think an assignment is only worth completing if you get a perfect grade. Neuropsychological testing. Neuropsychological testing can assess problem solving, working memory, planning, and organization, and cognitive flexibility. Identifying the areas where you need help can often be the first step to effective treatment. Executive functioning coaching. An executive functioning coach can address procrastination issues by helping you develop life management skills, including setting and achieving goals, creating schedules, and managing emotions. Medication. Certain medications, such as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors for depression and anxiety, or stimulants for ADHD, can relieve symptoms of these conditions, improving procrastination. Check with your GP or mental health provider to discuss whether this might be right for you. Is it possible to outgrow procrastination? Studies show that young people are more prone to procrastination than older age groups. In fact, many people seem to get over procrastination as they get older. A 2016 study looking at procrastination across different age groups found that procrastination was highest in people aged 14 to 29, the youngest age group studied. The same study reports that people procrastinate less as they get older. Researchers believe the decline is related to personality development, changes in perception of time, and increases in coping skills. In particular, people tend to develop more awareness as they get older, and people with this personality trait tend to be more observant and thorough. Consciousness is linked to various positive aspects of life, from job performance to healthy relationships. The more conscientious a person is, the less likely they are to procrastinate. Another reason older people may procrastinate less is that they are more aware that time is limited. Young people tend to have abstract thoughts about the weather, but as people become more alone of their own mortality, they realize what needs to be done cannot be delayed indefinitely. Tips for overcoming procrastination. Procrastination is a behavior that can be managed and overcome with the right tools, knowledge, and support. Here are a few tips to help you cope. Whatever it is, just start. The best way to beat procrastination is to start doing what you feared. Stop analyzing the project and start working on it. While this may be easier said than done, it can focus your mind to start tackling the task. For example, if you might decide to work for a shorter period of time, even just 15 minutes. Once the time is up, you can retest if you want to continue. You can even set a timer to keep this initial goal. Once a business begins, the next steps often follow naturally. Taking the lead in that first action can be a stepping stone for a momentum. You may end up finding the activity easier than you expected. Break down the task into small, manageable chunks. Sometimes we procrastinate because we feel overwhelmed. If you've been putting off a specific project because you're feeling too much, make a plan. Start by breaking down the activity into smaller, more digestible chunks. This makes the overall effort more manageable. Your mind registers that the tasks are small enough to handle. You can also create steps that allow you to complete tasks on time, and this step-by-step approach will get you started and accomplish more than you might expect. For the next step, start working on the framework you created. That way, you will notice that you are moving forward without procrastinating. Your stress may also slowly be replaced by a feeling of contentment that comes with letting go of your fear and moving forward. Become more organized. People sometimes procrastinate because they overestimate how much they can accomplish in a given amount of time. They may feel overwhelmed with all the tasks that keep coming from all directions. Organizational strategies can be useful in these cases. For example, time management limits procrastination behaviors. Listing your tasks, prioritizing them, and scheduling due dates can be a start. It can also be helpful to designate workspaces in your home that help you accomplish specific tasks. You will likely associate this area with the project, making it more likely that you will achieve the task at hand. You can also limit distractions by closing applications on your computer and placing your phone in another room. Increase your motivation. We often let our negative thoughts and emotions get in the way of achieving what we need to do. We tend to avoid tasks we have identified as useless. Instead of resenting a task, introduce positive thoughts. Even rewarding yourselves in small ways can help you control procrastination. For example, you can increase your motivation to take an exercise class by having coffee with friends afterwards. You can even reward yourself with a positive attitude by finding meanings in activities you tend to avoid. The last job you're writing might annoy you, but you can focus on the degree you'll eventually get. Understand that you are not lazy. Procrastination isn't laziness, it's behavior caused by stress in our lives or by unfounded negative beliefs we hold about ourselves. If you tend to procrastinate, don't be hard on yourself. Instead, ask yourself what your behavior may be related to. With that being said, it's time to end today's video. Press the like button and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stuff. Peace out.